second initiation. He went on to do a variety of services, including book distribution, Sankirtan leadership, temple president, college preaching, congregational development, and various educational projects. He is an initiating guru within ISKCON and also serves on Sabha, which is an advisory body to the governing body commission of ISKCON. His Grace Mahatma Prabhu is well known in ISKCON for his recorded and live music. My dad fondly remembers his audio cassettes from the 1980s. Your Life Will Be Sublime, which only comprised of the Maha Mantra being sung by him in various melodious tunes, and of course, his famous recording of the Brahma Samhita. His Grace Mahatma Prabhu currently conducts workshops on japa meditation, humility, forgiveness, vows, and marriage. Before I hand over the platform to His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, I request you to kindly turn on your video cameras. If your data bandwidth permits, please mute your audio. Also kindly keep all questions for the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Mute. Sadhana Sudhanshu sound. Come on, Mahatma Prabhu should be co-host.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now you can hear me, right?
Absolutely. Fantastic. Hare Krishna.
A little button, just pressing a little button makes all the difference. Welcome to all of you. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna. I feel like I'm in South Africa. South Africa and India, I guess, mostly. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prabhu Nirvisesa Sanyavadi Paschati. You know what you can do, would be nice, at least in the future or for the rest? When people sign their name, they can put where they're from. It's nice for the speaker to know, so you have your name. Tosi Priya Devi Dasi, and then your city or country. So we know. And also, since so many devotees have the same name, and since some of you I haven't seen in so long, and the body changes, it's always good to know, oh yeah, that's the Tulsi Priya from this place. Last time I saw her, she was 4 years old, you know, something like that. So it helps. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I was asked to speak about the real holy name. And so if there's something real, there can only be something false. If you're going to juxtapose something real, there must be something not real. So can there be a not real holy name? Is that actually possible? Holy name is Krishna. Can the holy name be anything other than Krishna? Well, the answer is definitely yes and no. And so definitely, no, it can't be. The name is Krishna, and definitely, yes, it cannot be Krishna. How is that possible? So we're going to unravel that a little bit, that idea. And I want to begin with something I recently read, which was a quote by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And I've heard this quote, and I've heard similar quotes, and we all have, but it struck me in a special way. He said, without the association of a sadhu, you cannot be Krishna conscious. It's impossible. We could not. You, me, all of us, no matter how far we have progressed in devotional service. We cannot be Krishna conscious without sadhu sangha and satsanga. It's impossible. So I was thinking about that. And what struck me was, if that is true, which of course it is, it means that the tendency to turn away from Krishna is so strong that unless we're properly situated, we will self-destruct. We will destroy ourselves. You ever feel like that? Like sometimes you might say, I don't trust myself. I can't go there. I don't trust myself. What don't you trust about yourself? Well, my conditioned nature is such that I can't always trust myself. Isn't it? Yeah. So I began thinking about this. You know, Bhaktisiddhanta saying, you could not be Krishna conscious. Now, we're all Krishna conscious. At least we're trying to be. We're still devotees, you know. At least we look like devotees, right? Well, that's, even if you're not a devotee, at least if you look like one, that means you want to be one, right? You're trying. You're getting up. You're doing sadhana. You're trying to serve. So we're all still devotees of some sort. And so going back to the statement that we wouldn't be devotees without Sangha, without the association of sadhana, we wouldn't be doing the processes of sadhana that keep us as devotees. So then I began thinking about the holy name. Like, what is the holy name actually doing? The holy name is, of course, we know it's awakening love of God, but in the process of awakening it, it's neutralizing those tendencies to be non-devotees. We all have tendencies for non-devotional behavior, feelings, and thinking, isn't it? You ever thought like a non-devotee before? You ever acted in a certain way, and then you thought, why did I do that? That's what ordinary people do. I'm a devotee. I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. So we've all done that. So then my next thought was, went to a verse, Bhagavad Gita verse from chapter 7, Icha Dvesha Sumuttena. Icha means desire, Dvesha means envy, hatred. And Krishna says the condition that we're born into is Icha, desire and hatred. So what are we desiring? To be God. And who are we hating? God. If you want to be God, you're going to have to hate him, because he's already God, and you want his position. You know, you've got competition there, and you don't. Who likes competition? You know, so let's get rid of the competition. You know, I'll be God. We don't need that, because there's no God. He doesn't exist. He's impersonal. Let's get rid of him. So then I thought, okay, we know this is our philosophy, Bahir-mukha. There are several verses which describes our condition in this world. And one of them says, Bahir-mukha, we turned our face towards the external energy. Bahir, mukha means face, Bahir. So who do we turn to? Maya, we embrace Maya. So we said, I don't want this internal, Krishna, I want Maya, external. So we get on the phone and we dial M-A-Y-A. Hello, Maya. Can you come over? I want to dance with you. I want to play with you. I need your help. I'm trying to be God. Bahir-mukha. That's what we're doing, right? So, so then I thought, you're not going to like to hear this, but it's true. I thought, we're all like little mini Hiranyakashipus. Because what's Hiranyakashipu doing? Who does Hiranyakashipu hate? Krishna. Who does Hiranyakashipu want to be? He wants to be God. So we all have that tendency. If we're more evolved spiritually, then when we take birth in this world, that tendency is not very strong. But it's still there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? If we didn't have that tendency, we wouldn't have taken birth. So we all have the tendency to one degree or another, isn't it? The Hiranyakashipu Bhav. We're little Hiranyakashipus, little Ravanas, little Sishupals, little, you dare call me Hiranyakashipu? How could you call me Hiranyakashipu? No, it's our philosophy. But just minutely, we're trying to overcome that. But that's the tendency, right? So I just keep with me. This is going somewhere. I'm taking it exactly to the topic. So now, I'm meditating on the Maha Mantra in relation to these principles, this philosophy, Icha Dvesha, little mini Hiranyakashipus and so forth. We want to dance with Maya, and we hate Krishna. Prabhupada actually said we hate Krishna. Do you hate Krishna? Of course you don't hate Krishna. Prabhupada, why don't I like to chant Hare Krishna? Because you hate Krishna. Oh,
भक्तिविकास महाराज इसमें बहुत
Prabhupada was
बोलने
very
वाले
heavy.
हैं.
Prabhupada,
तो
why?
वो भेजा आपको भी जरा
Why is Krishna so attractive but I'm not attracted?
पोस्टर
Because
के
you
साथ
hate
लिंक
him.
है.
All right, a little bit. We don't hate
अभी
him a lot.
तुरंत
We're
कर
not
देना
here
ब्रोजी, अभी चालू हुआ
but
है.
something is there. That's why we're here. And so we're chanting Hare Krishna. What is happening when we're chanting? It's neutralizing that hatred. It's neutralizing that desire to be God. And it's awakening or replacing it with the desire not to hate Krishna, but to love him and not to imitate him, but serve him. Correct? That's what's going on. And you can experience that, isn't it, when you're chanting? You can experience the dissolution or the neutralization, right, of this Icha Dvesha. And so sometimes I tell devotees, don't do this, but this is just a hypothetical scenario. Sometimes we're chanting and we say, I don't feel anything. You ever said that? I'm chanting and I'm not making any advancement. Every day I'm chanting, I get up and I just don't feel anything. It doesn't seem like it's working. I'll say, okay, do an experiment. Don't do this experiment, but if you did, it would prove it's working. Stop chanting for a week, and now tell me how you feel. And you will notice a difference, isn't it? And maybe some of you have, unfortunately, run into a situation where you weren't chanting or weren't chanting much. So what happens when you stop chanting? Then you realize, oh, actually that chanting was doing something, because right now I feel like Hiranyakashipu's, Bhav, Shakti is in my blood to some degree. My material desires are going up. My desire to serve is going down. So chanting does work. It's dissolving that tendency. Now, you all know that Prabhupada said something amazing. What did Prabhupada say that was so amazing? Prabhupada said, in one lifetime, you can develop love of Krishna and go back to Godhead. Like, how did that happen? After unlimited lifetimes, or as Shastra says, from beginningless time, we're in the material world trying to imitate Krishna from beginningless time, and in one life of only 16 rounds and 4 principles, very low price, the deal of a lifetime, in one life you go back to Godhead. How is that possible? Now, the only explanation is that underscores the power of the holy name, doesn't it? In one life, I mean, what in the universe is so powerful that you can chant for 2 hours and completely neutralize the tendency to want to be God that we've maintained since time immemorial? That is inconceivable, how powerful the holy name is, isn't it? Okay? Is that all clear? You follow my logic? We're conditioned. We know we're conditioned. We're little Hiranyakashipus. Chanting neutralizes it. Okay, so now let's come to the topic of the real holy name. What you will find again and again in the teachings of our Shastras and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta about the holy name, you'll find this teaching that if you chant without making offense, or if you chant with the effort to not make offense, that holy name will have more power than a holy name chanted with offense, or the holy name chanted when you're not trying. You ever chant and you're not actually trying to avoid offense? You ever done that before? Kind of lazy, just get your rounds done. And have you ever chanted, like been in Vrindavan, doing Govardhan Parikrama and just praying? That was a different kind of chanting, and you feel different, don't you? Different experience. We all have had different experiences. You go to a kirtan and you come out and say, that's the most amazing kirtan I've ever been into in my life. I feel so purified. I feel so this or that. Well, like how many kirtans have you been to? Well, okay, I've been a devotee 50 years, and if I do one kirtan every day, that's 50 times 365. So, that's like, 15,000 kirtans or something. That's a lot of kirtans. And then you come out of a kirtan and say, this kirtan was amazing. I can tell you that kirtan with Prabhupada is unlike any kirtan ever. Because when you're chanting with a pure devotee, It's amazing. Or you may have experienced that with very advanced devotees. Not even them leading, but just being there. It's special. So we've all experienced a difference in chanting the same mantra. I'll tell you a story. This story is one of my favorite stories. So this was the first japa retreat that I attended. And at the end, we would share. And so what was happening at this japa retreat is we were going deeper and deeper into our chanting. And then one day we chanted 64 rounds, which is always an amazing experience. But especially amazing because there were 100 people with you chanting 64 rounds, and you're out on top of a mountain in the country. So there was nothing, and nobody was talking. We took monobat. So there was nothing else to do. You couldn't talk to anybody. You couldn't go to the mall shopping. And everyone around you is Hare Krishna, Krishna. So what are you going to do? You're just going to chant all day. And what have you done for the 3 previous days? You've just studied about the holy name, how to chant, what it is, how to feel it, how to experience it. And so that day is amazing. You know, you go very, very deeply, right? So that takes place the day before the retreat is going to be over. And so the last day, we share. And one devotee said, in his sharing, he said, I don't understand. I've been chanting this Maha Mantra for so many years, but this Maha Mantra I chanted yesterday, it was different. It was a different mantra. And so we had a little questionnaire when you join, you know, your name and your birthday and your this and that. He said, today is my birthday. I'm changing my birthday. Today is my birthday because today I actually experienced the holy name. So it was very dramatic for him, but I'm sure we've all had this experience, you know. Someday you just have this amazing experience with the holy name and you're looking around and go, is Krishna in the room, or why am I experiencing this? What did I do to deserve this? Isn't it? You ever had that day? It's just like, wow. I don't know why the holy name tasted like sweet sugarcane juice today, and yesterday it tasted like neem leaves. But somehow or other, today I've been blessed, and we all have this experience. It's not the same holy name, is it? It's like it's the same holy name, but it's not the same holy name, right? So, Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Bhaktivinoda Thakur have said that the difference between chanting with offense and chanting without offense is the efficacy of the holy name is minimized if we're chanting with offense. And when we chant without offense, eventually we can come to Shuddha Nam. And when Shuddha Nam is chanted, then we advance very quickly. So their basic explanation is you can chant on different levels. It is Krishna, but how much Krishna is being revealed to you and how much you're experiencing Krishna is different when you're chanting with offense or Namabhas or Shuddha Nam. And so they all say, okay, don't stop chanting, but if you're chanting purely, your advancement is very quick. If you're chanting with offense, it's very, very slow. And I have a story. This story is, I think it just clearly illustrates what Nama Aparad is and the effects of Nama Aparad. So this took place, I don't know when, maybe 1974. When you were all in ISKCON in a different body. Right? You're all in ISKCON in your last life, right? Just a different body. Maybe one of you were my Sankirtan partners in the last. We don't know, but could be. So, as you know, that many of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada were hippies, and hippies specialized in, they usually didn't gamble, but even in those days, vegetarianism had not really caught on. A lot of hippies were vegetarians, a lot weren't. But as one devotee said, I only follow 3 regular principles. Well, what 3 do you follow, Prabhu? No meat, no fish, no eggs. Those are the 3 I follow. So, you know, these devotees had slipped away, and they were following the 3 regs: no meat eating, no fish, no eggs. But so hippies, what does hippie mean? Hippie means drugs, illicit sex. So they formed a commune of devotees who couldn't follow or didn't want to follow the 4 regular principles. So they were getting high, and they were engaged in illicit sexual activity. But they were doing kirtan and they were chanting japa. Because, they identified as devotees, they were just fallen, weak. They couldn't, their old hippie samskars were rising again. And so that's what they were doing. So I believe this was in Hawaii. Hawaii is a beautiful island. It's an island, very palm trees, coconuts, mangoes, papayas, like that, and maybe like South India. It's a group of islands. And so they were enjoying life in Hawaii. Prabhupada said there's no happiness in the material world, but if there is any, it's in Hawaii. So they were enjoying. Well, South Africa is pretty nice also. Actually, for all you South Africans, I was in South Africa, some of you don't know. Before a lot of you were born, I was in Joburg. That's the temple president. And I brought some devotees who grew up in Hawaii. And we drove from Durban, maybe it was Joburg, to Cape Town. And they said South Africa was more beautiful than Hawaii. So that makes you feel good, right, Rasa Kelly? You feel better now? Feel proud to be South Africa. Okay. Dina Nukampa, she's also smiling. Okay. So that's how I know who's from South Africa. All the people smiling, they're from South Africa. So the GBC met them, discussed, and so one of the leaders of the group said, well, the GBC saying, come on, you're not following the 4 regular principles. And one of the leaders said, but at least we're chanting Hare Krishna. We may not be following, but at least we're chanting. Okay, at least we're chanting. It's better than not chanting, right? So now the GBC went back to Prabhupada and he explained to Srila Prabhupada, they're not following all of the regular principles. And it's not accidental fall down, it's they don't want to follow. This is premeditated, which is a whole different thing. This is consistent and premeditated, which is different than an accidental fall down. Accidental fall down? Yes, it's just an accident, but this is premeditated. So Prabhupada said that chanting that they're doing will take them 300 lifetimes, will not be effective for 300 lifetimes. And so he explained why. Now, let's hold it there. It's a cliffhanger. I want to go back to what originally I said. We're going to talk about the real holy name and the not real holy name. And you remember what I was saying? There's a different effect from chanting. One is slower, one is faster. One holy name, you can get Krishna prema and go back to Godhead in one lifetime by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Only by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, one lifetime you can go back to Godhead. And this holy name they're chanting 300 lifetimes if they're lucky. Prabhupada blessed them 300 lifetimes. Who knows? He could take more, right? So what's going on here? So Prabhupada explained. He said, this is an offense to the holy name to disobey the order of the spiritual master. So they're chanting the holy name, but they're making offense to the holy name. So because they're making offense to the holy name, they're not making advancement. Now, this is interesting because how can you, even if you say, okay, I'm chanting the holy name, but I'm making offense, but isn't Krishna the holy name? So even though I'm chanting, isn't Krishna there? And if Krishna's there, I should be purified, because if Krishna walked into my house right now, I would be purified. Unless I'm Sisupal and I wouldn't see him as Krishna, and I say, get out of my house, I hate you. You come back again, I'll kill you, right? So I wouldn't really be purified by that, would I? Not some purification because he came in, but not really, no love is going to develop. So, okay, so I'm taking you slowly to this point because I'm going to read something that you've never heard before, and I don't want your brain to explode when you read it, so I'm explaining all these things. Okay, now for those of you who are not, we're not born as Hindus, I have to explain what it's like for a Western-born person to go to the temple and see, for the first time, and see the deities. What do they see? Now, you're not going to believe this. They look at the altar and they don't see anything. They actually don't see deities on the altar. Can you believe that? Do we have any Western devotees here who can confirm that, or anybody? Or maybe even you were a Hindu, but not like religious or something. You went in the temple and it was just like, what did you see? You saw flowers, and you just saw like, you didn't really know what you saw. You were just like, so there you are in front of the deity. And what do you see? Flowers? You see Radha and Krishna? No, it's just kind of a big blob. We don't really know what the deity is. Could you believe that? Well, you're all thinking, no, you must have seen the deity. No. I can't speak for every devotee, but I've heard many devotees tell this story. And that was my experience. We didn't see the deity. Just what did you see? I don't know. The flowers or something. Well, you have a nice altar, a lot of nice flowers. Beautiful. Okay, so did I see Krishna? Was my eye seeing Krishna? Well, in theory, my eye was seeing Krishna, but I actually didn't see him. And so if I'm seeing him, but I'm not seeing him, what am I feeling? I'm feeling, oh, those are nice flowers. Am I getting purified? Yes. How purified am I getting? As purified as Mahaprabhu seeing Jagannath? I don't think so. He saw Shyamsundar when he saw Jagannath, right? So there's the deity, and then you get the Iyer Samaj. You have Iyer Samaj? You must have Iyer Samaj everywhere, right? South Africa, Mauritius, India. So what does the Iyer Samaj see when they see the deity? They probably get angry. They don't like deities, right? They don't believe in the deity, right? So they see the deity, but do the Iyer Samaj think that's Krishna? What do they think? It's just a statue, right? So they're seeing Krishna. They're seeing him as a statue. How purified do they get? Do you know Prabhupada said that the soldiers in the Battle of Kurukshetra that appreciated Krishna, they were liberated when they were killed. But the ones who didn't, then they weren't. So, okay, so now where am I going with this? Can I share my screen? Is that possible? Do I have to become a co-host or something? Oh, I actually can. It looks like I can. Let's try it. There, you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, this is a quote from Bhaktisiddhanta. And if you haven't heard this quote before, I think I've prepared you for it because it's quite heavy. And it sometimes when you read it, you think, but I never heard this from Prabhupada. But actually, if you research Prabhupada's statements, he has said similar things. They're just more generally, he says Krishna is in his name. That's what we normally hear. Bhaktisiddhanta is saying something different. The mere physical sound is not the holy name of Krishna. Repeating only the syllables of the holy name is called Mayak sound. It has no spiritual essence. The life of the name is absent in offensive chanting. The most important thing in chanting the holy name is the spiritual realization, the proper attitude of the chanter. That is the real name. So I want to unpack this. Oh, I have to go to share and do it. Right? Put me back. Yeah. Oh yeah, stop share. Yeah. Okay, so the mere recitation of the syllables is not the real name. But when the name is chanted, he's saying the realization of the chanter. What is the mood of the chanter? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta spoke a lot about infusing your chanting with the desire, the mood, the prayer, Krishna, I want to serve you. Now, what's interesting is we're all servants by nature, but we just don't like to admit it. And we've tried to, as I said, imitate Krishna, which is not obviously the mood of a servant. And so now we're trying to rectify that and saying, Krishna, I want to be your servant. For so many lifetimes, I thought I was the master, and I want to invoke again that nature. And when you chant within that mood, Krishna appears. Now, what's interesting about this, Bhakti Mam Abhijananti, Krishna says, you can't know me without bhakti, and then in nectar devotion, you can't, Atasi Krishna Nabadi, you can't understand the name, form, pastimes of Krishna with gross senses. You can only understand it through service, right? You know, when you serve the deity, what happens? The deity becomes alive, isn't it? If you offend the deity, it's just a statue. If you're an atheist, it's a statue. But so it's the same with the holy name. When you serve the holy name, it becomes alive. When it's just, oh, I have to chant because Guru Maharaj told me, or I made a vow. I don't really want to. There's no real love, just trying to get it done. That would be like, you know, oh, I have to do arti today. 1, 2, oh, my arm's tired. 3, when's this going to be over? 4, you know, yeah. If I don't do arti, I don't get prasadam. Okay, I'll do it. 5, 6, you know. What kind of mood is that? You know, how is Krishna going to reveal himself if that's your mood? He's not. You just see that deity as a burden. And Prabhupada said that. He said, if there's not some emotion, then instead of thinking my guru has given me a deity, you'll think he's given me a big stone, a big burden, right? And so we see that when devotees serve the deity with devotion, they become attached to the deity. They dream about the deity. The deity speaks to them. They want to buy and make new clothes for the deity. They want to get better this and that for the deity. Isn't it? Yes. And then what happens? You come to the temple, you know, you haven't been to the temple, you know, like I come to South Africa, let's say, not, you know, every few years or so. And then you go, oh, Radharanath, they look more plump than they were last time. Or they look more effulgent than they were last time. Or they look happier than they were last time. Right? Why? So it's because the devotee's devotion, you know. And it also, you know, it depends. I like Radharanath. The first time I saw Radharanath, they were in a closet in a little apartment. In 1980, must be 1981, I saw them. 1981, first time I met them in a closet in an apartment, obviously before they were installed. So it's always nice to see deities that you saw before they were installed. So, and then I say, oh, they're so beautiful. And then a devotee says, oh, it's because you have devotion that you see their beauty. And I say, no, but I'm seeing the devotion of the devotee. And both things are true. I say I have devotion, but generally, when we see the beauty of the deity, it's because, you know, our bhakti is good, isn't it? So it's the same with the holy name. It's not that you just serve the deity anyway, ritualistically, counting circles and, you know, checking your watch. Oh, this is so hard. I'm so tired. I'm so hungry. No, that kind of worship is not, then you're just worshiping a stone, isn't it? And Krishna in his name is the Murti of sound. He's the incarnation of sound. He's the Nama Rupa in sound. He's the form in sound. So it's the same thing. You're chanting. And if Krishna is not present in his name, what happens to your advancement? What happens to your realization? Very slow, isn't it? Slow, 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 slow. All right, so I have one more thing I want to read. So let's bring up my screen again. And we will go to the next Yes, Lord. The name is not this recitation of syllables. You cannot capture the name simply by vibrating syllables with your tongue. Krishna will come down in his holy name, attracted by our serving nature. Now this appears to be a contradiction to what Prabhupada said, doesn't it? Prabhupada said Krishna's in his name. Of course, that's true. There's no difference. But Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, just by saying Krishna, it's not enough. Just like those hippies who were chanting, 300 lifetimes, maybe, Krishna will appear to them. Krishna will come down in his holy name, attracted by our serving nature. So, I think that's clear, right? Now, I want to chant a little bit together, because I think we need to put into practice what we're talking about. So, before we chant, we have to talk about offensive chanting. We have to talk about clearing Nam Abhas, the reflective stage, and the Shuddha Nam. Because this is really what we're talking about. Bhaktisiddhanta is basically saying, if you're chanting Nam Aparad, then, or we'll say Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, you can chant 100 rounds of Nam Aparad every day and not make any advancement. Wow. Has anyone ever told you that? You could chant 100 rounds a day and not make advancement? You could chant 100 Snik Snik Wam Wams, 100 rounds of Snik Snik Wam Wam. That's not going to help you. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, chant one pure name. You can chant one Shuddha Nam. Wow. You've got your ticket back to Godhead. Of course, it takes chanting 16 rounds every day for your whole life before you can chant one Shuddha Nam. So don't think it's going to be easy to get there. But it's important to understand this, that what Bhaktivinoda is saying, what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, they're talking about Nam Aparad. You can't just chant Nam Aparad and think that's the same because Krishna's in his name. So all chanting is the same. All chanting is not the same. Otherwise, why are there 3 levels of chanting, which produce 3 different results? So now, the important thing is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, if you are making an effort to avoid the 10 kinds of offenses, that is called Namabhas. When you're not making an effort to avoid the offenses, that's called offensive chanting. You say, well, what about Ajamila? He wasn't trying to avoid the 10 offenses. You're not a Ajamila, you're a devotee. He was no longer a devotee. So for the non-devotees, they say, Hare Krishna, you're all crazy. But that's called Nam Abhas. That's not actually offensive chanting, even though they're joking with us. Offensive chanting is you're trying to chant Shuddha Nam, you know the 10 offenses, and you don't try to avoid them. Then it becomes offensive. So once a devotee gives you the list of 10 offenses, you're in trouble. Because now you know what they are, and once you know what they are, and you make them, then it's offensive. So never get that list of 10 offenses. That's the downfall. Don't give it, no. But you have to know what the 10 offenses are to avoid them, so you'll never come to Shuddha Nam if you avoid the 10 offenses. But until people know what they are and they're just chanting, Hare Krishna, they're making fun, that's Namabhas, right? But it's not going to get them to Shuddha Nam. So for us, avoiding the 10 offenses, you're making an effort. It's not that you have to avoid the 10 offenses, you have to make an effort to avoid them. That's specifically what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. You have to make an effort to avoid them, which is different than avoiding them, because sometimes you can make an effort, but you can't avoid it. And so you're not responsible because you're trying your best. You ever try your best to chant and your mind is like, it's taking a tour of the universe and you just can't get it to land? That spaceship of the mind is visiting Mars and Saturn and Venus and so and you can't get it to, but you're trying. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. You're jumping up and down, pouring ice on your head, banging it with a shoe. You're doing everything you can, and still, but that is not considered offensive because you're trying. Isn't that interesting? Gauravani Swami said, Prabhupada, sometimes when I chant, I can't control my mind. And Prabhupada said, are you trying to control your mind? I said, yes, Prabhupada. I'm trying, but sometimes I'm failing. He said, if you are trying, it's not offensive. As Gauravani Swami was saying, is this the 10th offense in attentiveness? And Prabhupada didn't say yes or no, he just said, are you trying? And when he heard Gauravani Swami say, I'm trying, and Prabhupada said, then it's not offensive. So this is exactly Bhaktisiddhanta's definition. Chanting Hare Krishna without making an effort to avoid the 10 offenses is an offense. So at least we need to come to the Namabhas stage, and from Namabhas, it will lead us to Shuddhanam. So how do we do this? Based on what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, and based on Prabhupada's definition of the holy name, oh Lord, please engage me in your service. So I'm going to explain this. We're going to do a little chanting. We have a little time to chant. Maybe we'll chant for 10 minutes. And we're going to chant, and we're going to try to imbibe this mood. And we're going to try to chant. We'll chant one round. We're going to try to chant like maybe the best round we've ever chanted in the last few months, or maybe our whole life. We're going to try for it, okay? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to imbibe this mood of Krishna. I just want to serve you. And I just want to explain a little bit about this mood because Prabhupada lectured on this mood. And when you understand what he said, it's going to help you enter more deeply in this mood. And then when you enter this mood, we'll be doing exactly what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. In chanting endowed with the service mood is the pure name. Krishna is present in that name. That's the real name. And that was the title of this class, the real name. So Prabhupada said, the prayer is, Krishna, please engage me in your service. Krishna, I do not want to engage any longer in Maya's service. So it's not just a prayer to be engaged in service, it's also a prayer to be disengaged from all the service that's antagonistic to my service to Krishna. Now, this is so relevant because we all feel this, don't we? You ever feel like, Maya, could you just go to someone else's house? I don't need you here. Why do you keep bothering me? Please, leave. So it's part of that mood. It's part of that mood. Leave me. I don't want to be here. I just want to be with Krishna. I just want to serve him. So we all feel that, and that's why this mood is so easy to adopt with our chanting because it's not artificial. We all want service. Krishna, I need your service. It's all important for me. So you have your beads. We'll chant, let's say we'll chant a round together in the mood of Krishna. I want to serve you, and for lifetimes I didn't serve you. I competed with you. And Maya is just she's always after me. And I don't want it anymore. And I want to be your devotee. And any of those similar moods you want to develop, endow your japa with those moods in prayer. And we'll be doing exactly what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. The holy name endowed with a mood of service is the real holy name. Merely chanting the holy name, Krishna is not present merely by the recitation, by the movement of your lips. He's present when the mood of service enters. Okay, so we'll just chant, and then I will tell you when to stop. If you really get absorbed in chanting, when I tell you to stop, you're going to be mad at me, which I hope you are, because you won't want to stop. And if you don't want to stop, that means this japa session was a huge success, because you're getting some taste. So I hope that happens. I hope you get agitated when I say it's time to stop. And I'll feel, well, that's fantastic. Success. Okay? Hare Krishna. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna So now I'm going to be like Hiranyakashipu, and I'm going to say, stop that chanting. So I hope that totally disturbed you and you just want to chant for like the next 26 hours. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, we have to bring this to an end. Usually there are questions at the end. I have something better to offer you than answers to questions. I have to tell you about something we're going to do, and we'll put this info in the chat. I think Himanshu is going to put this info in the chat, I hope. In 3 weeks, October 9th and 10th, we are going to be doing an online chakra workshop. And we've done 6 of them already, and we've got an amazing response. Some of you know that I facilitate japa retreats, so we decided to do it online because you don't have to go anywhere. It just costs a few hundred rupees, and it's condensed. It's only 2.5 hours on Saturday, 2.5 hours on Sunday, and you kind of get what you would get 5-6 days in a japa retreat. Of course, we don't chant 64 rounds, but you get the basic knowledge and practices. And so that's way more better than answering a few questions now. If you come there, we give you documents and recordings of maybe 50 questions on japa that have already been asked that we've answered, and we give you the opportunity to ask more questions. And we give you summaries of all the classes we give you, all the main points, and we give you follow-up information for weeks afterwards. And then we're going to begin level 2 at the end of October. So anyone who takes level 1 can go to level 2, and we do level 2 in the future as well. So it's quite an amazing experience. I just wanted to let you know about it. And we have to put that info in the chat. And so, Himanshu, can you put that in there? I'm not one of the organizers here. I think you have that info. I wasn't prepared with the links for it. So I think one of my trusted assistants was supposed to do this, but I don't know if they're doing it or not. So give me a second, then I can find. I just want to share the link if you want to come. I would I would suggest, if you want to improve your japa, this will really help you. So I would encourage you to come. So, okay. Hold on a second. I'm downloading some material. I didn't know I was going to be doing this. But let me see if I can copy this for you. Copy. And let's go back to chat and see if I can put this in there. No, that didn't work. Paste. That didn't work. Okay. We're in trouble, everyone. Let's try something else. Maybe images don't copy into chat. No, I guess not. We'll get the information to you. Is that okay? We'll get it to you later?
Just send it to Govind Charan Prabhu now, maybe, on his WhatsApp, and then he could put it on the chat.
I have it on my computer. It might be on my WhatsApp, but can I send it to somebody? Can I forward it on the email? To who? You have Govind Charan Prabhu's email, or I put my email there if you want. I'll put my email. Put in my email. Okay. Sorry for this. I thought somebody was going to have this for me. Okay. So, what we discussed today, we elaborate on in much greater detail in the workshop. And then I'll email this to you. I don't see your...
I'm sending it. I sent it to Govind Charan by mistake. There we are. There's it. Done.
So I'll send it to you, and then if you are interested, then
I'll actually post it on our Lok Sangha forum as well, so it will get to close on to 2,000 devotees as well. Besides,
I think some of you may have already attended this time. But thank you all. Ajamila Prabhu, my obeisances. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna. Ajamila is going to take over now under his able guidance, inspiring you all.
Hare Krishna Mahatma, please have my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Right. All glories to Govardhan. Okay, take it over. Hare Krishna.
I wish I was there.
We feel like we're there when we look at you.
Thank you, Mahatma Prabhu, for your insightful talk about the holy names. And I've gleaned a lot from listening to you. And what I've taken away is that it's a gradual process to develop that mood, that inclination, as opposed to just let the syllables drone out. You need to become inclined and want to be engaged in devotional service. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. To the Prabhupada ki jai.
Bye. I would now like to hand over to my co-host, Raghukul Tilak Prabhu, who will introduce our next speaker.
Hare Krishna to everybody. Welcome to World Holy Name Festival Global Day 3. And it is my pleasure to be co-hosting this Sunday evening. So today's lineup, so Mahatma Prabhu first, as we just heard, for those who have been here. And the next speaker is Ajamila Prabhu. And we'll be having His Grace Swarupa Damodar Prabhu from 6:45 p.m. IST, 7:30 p.m. IST with the Bhaktivikash Swami, and finally 8:15 p.m. IST, His Grace Gauravani Prabhu. I'll be failing if I did not thank Mahatma Prabhu once again for his insightful presentation. And our young co-host, Rasakeli Mataji, she's done a fantastic job. So thank you so much. A few directors, we'd request everybody to please put their cameras on. I guess we're not an impersonal society, right? So everybody's urged to become as personal as possible. So we'd like to see all of you. So kindly turn on your cameras. And as we take direction from the previous session, questions would be asked depending on the speaker. And yes, you may raise your hand if you want to ask a question, and that would be at the end of the program. So thank you so much. Now, without further ado, we would be introducing and would like to welcome His Grace Ajamila Prabhu, who is from Sydney, Australia, and he's a disciple of Srila Bhaktivikash Swami Srila Prabhupada and joined ISKCON in 1970. Ajamila Prabhu has received first initiation and in Australia and served there for some time. He in 1975 to 1982 has undertaken the position of the president of ISKCON Nairobi. In 1982 and 1983, he served in South Africa, which is where I'm from, assisting with fundraising for the iconic temple of Sri Sri Radha. Sometime, if you get a chance, please visit us. You'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll appreciate Prabhu's services. In 1983 till 2008, Prabhu served for 25 years at the UK Yatra, and from 2008 to 2012, he served at Malaysia. Prabhu is well versed in the studies of astrology and Vastu Shastra, which he has been promoting as the director of Vastu Veda Academy. Now he's based in Sridhar, Mayapur, and has currently undertaken the project of completing Nitai Nimai Vastu Shastra, Vastu Vidya Bhavan in Mayapur, and the Mayapur University. So without further delay, I'd like to hand over to His Grace Ajamila Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that introduction, Raghukula Tilak Prabhu. Thank you. So I would like to actually use the share screen because I have some very interesting things to share. Because the is about what he said about kirtan, Srila Prabhupada's instructions on kirtan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to turn on the share screen and go to some of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and then I will elaborate on those instructions. And this will make us very conscious of Srila Prabhupada. Can everyone see the instructions of Srila Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna, Ajamila Prabhu.
Yeah.
Apologies, I think the bandwidth isn't good enough to handle screen share from your side. So, because when you turn on the screen share, we're barely able to hear you.
Hare Krishna. Raghukula Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Maybe we can Ajamila Prabhu send the document to one of us?
Yes, I was about to suggest the same thing.
Okay, the screen share did come on actually. Or otherwise, Ajamila Prabhu can just share the document to you, and then we can do the screen share like that.
Ajamila Prabhu, would you like to send the document to me on WhatsApp? And then I could screen share while you speak? Sorry, by the way, this is Govinda Das. Didn't get to introduce myself on this session.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I'm not sure what's happening with my.
Govind Charan suggestion, maybe leave and join again.
Would you like to exit the session, Ajamila Prabhu, and then join back again?
Can you hear me? Let me try.
I'm guessing the background is also picking up a bit of a bandwidth, right?
Yes, Govind Charan Prabhu, and you can suggest him that turn off the camera and just give us a lecture, then that will be also beneficial.
Sure, Prabhu.
I'm going to get him on call, Govind Charan Prabhu. I think a direct call would be better. Yeah.
Turn off my video. So if I press stop video.
That's it.
Right. Okay. It just says my name there.
Right. That'll work.
I don't know, because I've had Zooms. Can you hear me now okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll talk back
Quite
into the.
clear.
Okay. Hare Krishna. My apologies, everyone, for the connection on my side, I think. I've had Zoom calls before, and I didn't have this problem, but nevertheless, I will just have to speak from memory. I did have a nice lineup of instructions from Srila Prabhupada from one book called Namamrita, which was compiled many years ago, and it's all Srila Prabhupada's instructions about the chanting of the holy name. It is very, very comprehensive, and I wanted to share that with you on the screen. Can everyone hear me okay?
Perfectly clear.
Okay. I wanted to share that with you on the screen because then it makes it more, gives it more impact, because you can see the exact words that Srila Prabhupada wrote and instructed, and then I recite those words, read those words, so that we can enter the understanding of those words of Srila Prabhupada. So, I strongly recommend that everybody, if you go to Folio, if you have Folio is a program done by the BBT Archives, which is contains all of Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And in that folio, there is one section called Srila Prabhupada's compilations, or compilations about Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So one category there is Sri Namamrita, and it's a huge book about all the instructions that Prabhupada gave us about chanting the holy name. It is very, very, very extensive. And I was going to take a couple of drops of that just to share with us this evening on the screen, but that's not possible now. So, Srila Prabhupada started the chanting of Hare Krishna in Thompson Square Park. Everybody's familiar with that picture of Srila Prabhupada just playing the little drum, and there's a few devotees around him, and they're dancing. And from that initial kirtan that Srila Prabhupada started there in New York in Thompson Square Park, it's some 50 years, 60 years later, that chanting is growing and growing and growing in many, many different parts of the world. Because Srila Prabhupada was a Shaktavash avatar. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that one cannot spread the holy name of the Lord unless he is empowered by the holy name of the Lord. And obviously, Srila Prabhupada was immensely empowered to spread the holy name of the world all over the world, and his power of the chanting will resound in this world for the next 10,000 years. And then after that, there will be no more Sankirtan movement. There will be the Kali Yuga, as per the prediction in the Brahma Vaivata Purana. So we are so blessed that we actually have the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, that we have his instructions about the holy name. Srila Prabhupada is the giver of the holy name. He gave us the holy name. He gave us the holy name in Harinam initiation, and he gave us the holy name in second initiation. So that gift, or that giving of Srila Prabhupada, we can never repay. We can never repay that debt to him, how much we owe him for giving us the holy name. It is the greatest gift. It is the greatest benediction in this Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy names. It is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna mantra hoite habe samsara mochan, Krishna naam hoite samsara mochan, Krishna naam hoite habe Krishna. by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one gets samsara moksha, or liberation from this world of samsara. Samsara moksha. Krishna mantra. Hoite have samsara moksha. Krishna naam hoite pabe. Krishna charan. That by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one gets the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna charan. The lotus feet of Krishna are contained within the holy name. So this is a very wonderful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which gives us the importance of the chanting of the holy names and how important they are. So I was just looking at, and I wanted to share with everyone about the glorious Harinams that are happening all around the world. And I was going to share with you a Harinam that was being performed in Dublin, in Ireland, and in that, which is on YouTube. And you can, this Harinam, during this Harinam, the devotees are chanting so ecstatically. They're jumping up and down to such an extent that even the devotees who are the devotees are chanting, and even the non-devotees are participating. Now, generally, when we perform Harinam, it's just we are performing and everybody looks and they don't participate. But in this particular Harinam, and many other Harinams also in London, the people, the non-devotees, actually participate. The chanting is so powerful and potent and so pleasing that the people, the non-devotees, just start joining in and they start feeling transcendental ecstasy. So I wanted to share that video, but of course that's not possible now. But if you go into YouTube and just type in Harinam street chanting in Dublin, Ireland, and you will find that video. It is a very, very enlivening video about performing Harinam. And you can see what a joyful performance it is. So I want to mention what Srila Prabhupada said in Mayapur. I was first initiated in Sydney in Australia in 1972, and I received a second initiation from Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur in 1975. So in 1974, when the Mayapur Chandradoya Mandir temple had just opened, we had our first big Mangalati. It was, and Srila Prabhupada was there. So that Mangalati was very, very ecstatic. The entire Lotus building temple was completely full. And devotees were dancing and chanting in such ecstasy that the vibration of the holy name was very tumultuous. Everyone was chanting, everyone was dancing, no one was kind of half participating, everyone was fully participating. So after that Mangalati, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, he went to upstairs to join Srila Prabhupada in his room in the Lotus building. And Srila Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj that about that kirtan, about that Mangalati kirtan, that he was so pleased with it, and he really relished it, and he's asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj to please go down and make an announcement to the devotees that if the devotees keep chanting like that, then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself will personally come here and take you all back to Godhead. So when Tamal Krishna Maharaj went downstairs and made an announcement to all the devotees in the temple room, there was a big hearty ball. All the devotees were very, very ecstatic to hear that Srila Prabhupada was pleased with the kirtan that was performed during that Mangalatik. So, the chanting of Hare Krishna was personally started by Srila Prabhupada, and of course, he started it because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started it 500 years ago. And since then, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, both individually and collectively, has been going on. But Srila Prabhupada took that chanting to go all over the world, as per the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra would go to every town and village in the world. So it is amazing to witness how the chanting really has gone to every town and village in the world. I don't think there is a town or a village where the devotees have not been and done some Harinam as per the instruction of Srila Prabhupada and the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So why is chanting so important? Because without chanting, there is no question of getting liberation in this age of Kali. It is described emphatically. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalona Steva, Steva Steva, Katiranyata. That in this Kali Yuga, the only way is to chant. We have to chant Hare Krishna, the Mahamantra, every day without fail, to our prescribed number of rounds. Because while we are chanting, we are associating directly with Krishna, whether we know it or not. Kolokera Premadan Hare Nama Sankirtan. That the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is coming directly from Goloka Vrindavan. When we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we are actually in Goloka Vrindavan, whether we know it or not. We are imbibing the energy of Goloka Vrindavan, and all of Krishna's personal powers and energies are within within that holy name of Krishna. So there's another lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave, which comes to my mind, and he speaks about the original Ajamila in the Bhagavatam, and he mentions how simply by his chanting Narayan, he became liberated. Even he was chanting unconsciously. So Srila Prabhupada's conclusion to that lecture was that whatever you do not stop chanting. Whatever you do, don't stop chanting. Life is full of many difficulties and many turmoils. We don't know what's going to happen next. So in the life of the original Ajamila, he forgot Krishna consciousness. But he somehow called his son Narayan. He gave his son the name of Narayan. So he was constantly chanting Narayan, Narayan, every time he called his son. That's why devotees always have a name that refers to Krishna or to one of Krishna's associates, because it keeps us chanting. The more we recite the name of Krishna, the more we become purified. And most of the time we don't realize it. And just because we don't realize it, we should not stop chanting. Sometimes we realize it, sometimes we don't. But we should know for a fact that when we chant, we are moving forward in our spiritual life. We are becoming purified. And of course, to develop pure chanting is very important, is the most important. But if we look at the history of the original Ajamila, his chanting was not pure. He was simply calling out for his son out of material affection when he was dying. And because he recited the name of Krishna at the last moment, he got completely purified, and he was awarded liberation to go back to Godhead. So we've seen that by staying in the association of devotees, it's very, very important. Because what happens is, this is the Sankirtan movement. It's all about chanting Hare Krishna. And if we stay within the association of devotees, we will get perfection. Because I've seen many times when devotees leave their body and they are part of a devotee community, the devotees go to that devotee and they start chanting the holy name of Krishna to that devotee who's about to leave their body. So, sadhu sange, sava sastrikoy, lava matra, sadhu sange, sava siddhi hoy. That by associating with devotees, one can achieve sava siddhi, which means all perfection. And what is the all perfection? The all perfection is to recite the holy name of Krishna at the last moment of our life. Or, if we are in the association of devotees, then other devotees will recite the name to us. And we have seen that in many places where devotees have left their body and their condition is is a very futile position. When at the time of death, the body will be malfunctioning. We may not be able to make any noise. We may not be able to hardly breathe. But still, if we somehow chant the Maha Mantra within our minds, there is also the chanting within the mind. And most likely, at the last moment of our life, when our voice is gone, the material body is gone, and the only thing we've got, the material body is malfunctioning, the only thing we've got is our mind. I was just experiencing last night that I had stopped chanting and I laid down, but my mind was still chanting. This happens sometimes. Because I was chanting, I laid down and I stopped chanting, but my mind was still chanting. So I just hope and pray that happens at the last moment, so that the name of Krishna will be there. But we should practice now. If we are in a position where our health is not good, we should practice chanting within the mind, so that at the last moment we'll be sufficiently practiced to remember the name of Krishna. And of course, if we are in the association of devotees, then that is the biggest blessing, because the devotees will chant for us. They will say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the purpose of the chanting is to attain liberation and go back home, back to Godhead. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. He wanted us to chant Hare Krishna so that we could go back home, back to Godhead, back to Krishna, and don't come back again to this material world. And the good news is that we don't have to be completely perfect. Even if our chanting is not perfect, by the association of devotees, we will get perfection. Devotees will entice us to chant at the last moment. This is a wonderful benediction of associating with devotees. And the benefit of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. What Srila Prabhupada gave us was his international Sankirtan movement, ISKCON, within which we are always following Srila Prabhupada's instructions of chanting. So Srila Prabhupada said, never leave ISKCON. Now, sometimes in ISKCON, there is turbulence. Things don't go the way that we want them to go. But Srila Prabhupada said that we simply have to tolerate that. Because sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Even the gurus and GBCs are sometimes in difficult
Ajamila Prabhu, we've lost sound. Sudhanshu Prabhu, unmute Ajamila Prabhu, please.
Mother, we have lost connection from him. He's not in the meeting.
But he was in meeting on two different devices, I think. Just have a look. He's still there. One is still there.
No, Mother, he didn't reconnected, and the second one is not him. It's just for his picture.
Oh, okay. I don't have the phone number.
But
okay,
we
he's
have,
back. I don't have a phone number. Govind Charan Prabhu has phone number. Eight minutes more.
Yeah, we have few times, but our next speaker have already joined. Then if our host can ask them to start early.
I need Govind Charan. Go.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dinar Mata is okay? Then can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yeah, I can hear. Swarupa Sadhana, make Swarup Damodar Prabhu co-host. Govind Charan Prabhu, we've lost Ajamila Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Am I audible? Can you all hear me?
Yes, 100%, 100%. Raghukul Tilak Prabhu, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to His Grace Ajamila Prabhu. We get some points of direction from him regarding the glories of the holy name. Sure, this festival is of the title itself, Festival of the Holy Name or World Holy Name Festival. So, yeah, it's totally inspirational. And yes, we need to hang on to the lotus feet of Krishna by chanting the holy name and also pleasing Srila Prabhupada, in trying to perform devotional service and Harinam Sankirtan. But that is dependent solely on chanting the holy name of the Lord. So thank you so much, Ajamila Prabhu. Without further delay, I would like to now request my co-host, Her Grace Vaishnava Mataji, to introduce our next speaker, which is Swarup Damodar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to the World Holy Name Festival Day 3. The aim of ISKCON's World Holy Name Festival is to celebrate the holy names and share this treasure worldwide through innovative programs designed to encourage people of all faiths to participate and create auspiciousness globally. I would like to thank all of you for participating in this online program and would humbly request you to turn on your cameras so that we have a more personal interaction. It is my pleasure to introduce you His Grace Swarup Damodar Das. But before I do that, let me quickly remind you that coming up on our lineup for today is His Holiness Bhaktivikash Swami at 7:30 p.m. IST and His Grace Gauravani Dasa at 8:15 p.m. IST. It is now my pleasant task to introduce to you His Grace Swarup Damodar Das. Swarup Damodar Das is a self-styled kirtan singer who started singing at the age of 7. He comes from a small town called Khopoli in Raigad district. He took initiation in Srila Prabhupada's family from His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaja in 1995 and pursued his spiritual career under his guidance for 4 years at ISKCON Chowpatli. He is loved by the devotee community for his melodious kirtans and has been spreading the glories of the holy names through his devotional albums all over the world. So let us please welcome His Grace Swarup Damodar Das. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vaishnava Mataji. Kind words. Thank you, everyone, for being present with us here today. It is certainly my great honor and privilege to be part of this wonderful festival. I would just like to reconfirm my topic. If one of you could just reconfirm that I'm supposed to speak upon vocal training, vocal lessons, which is quite out of the way of what we have been discussing. Untitled Prabhu or Govindan Prabhu, you can just confirm that.
That's exactly right, Swarupa Damodar Prabhu. Yeah, I think the idea was that we all chant the holy name, we all take part in Sankirtan, we all dance and sing and have a festival. But there are those, not me, but there are very many who would like to sing for the pleasure of the Lord. And we felt that no one better than Your Grace to actually just inspire them, guide them, and maybe just help them along on this journey.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say that, but in no way I'm really qualified to do that. But certainly as a service of my own purification and whatever little I know, I would like to share with all of you today. We would like to begin with some prayers and then we'll start. With me? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavas Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devi Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamita Namam Vishnu Pada Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karunasindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpitarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Srila Prabhupada ki Kaliyuga Samaved. Once again, I'd like to thank all the devotees for being present with us today here. My special gratitude to the organizers of the Kirtan Ministry for considering me worthy of addressing this wonderful assembly. I'm going to keep this on so that we can have a little bit of... Just let me know if it's too loud, if I'm not audible. Is that okay? That should be okay. Hare Krishna. So, today's discussion is about vocal training, vocal grooming for music. Before we get into the subject matter, I would like to briefly discuss about the importance of music itself, and especially in this glorious mission of Srila Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada, right from the beginning, has always emphasized more upon the real essence of chanting rather than music. There are several quotes by Srila Prabhupada where he emphatically expresses that we are not a bunch of musicians. We are Vaishnavas. And our main mission is to inspire everyone to chant the holy names. And there are quite a few letters that I have also read where Prabhupada is very, very clearly highlighting that we don't really want a lot of fancy musical demonstrations in our kirtans. But at the same time, today we see that in our present scenario in our movement, there is a significant amount of interest which has been generated because of Sankirtan, I would say, especially towards the youth of our movement. It has been a revolution of Krishna consciousness spreading all over the planet, especially because of Kirtan. So, before I elaborate a little further, I would like to narrate a sweet pastime of Srila Prabhupada, which will try to highlight this point that I am trying to make. Srila Prabhupada was once in Mayapur, and he was walking along with it. He was on his morning walk, and it was a dry season. The Ganges were not flowing too much, the flows, and there were some dry patches where there were cracks on the ground. And Prabhupada was walking just by the cracks on the ground. And one person who was just, a visitor to Mayapur was also joined. He had also joined, and he started discussing with Prabhupada. And in the course of his discussion, he expressed something like, why do sadhus need such magnificent temples? Sadhus are supposed to live simply. Why do you all need so much of money and so much donations and such big palatial buildings? So Prabhupada, he took his stick. He stopped, he took his stick, and he pointed the stick right in one of the cracks. He actually thrust his stick inside the crack and said, I can live there. Can you live with me there? So all these palatial buildings and these magnificent temples that we are building is for you. Now, I'm sure you all have kind of guessed my indication that Prabhupada was, of course, expressing the principle of Yukta Vairagya, which has been beautifully explained in the Nectar of Devotion to this morning. Yukta Vairagya, we use everything in Krishna's service. There are so many tools, and according to time, place, and circumstances, we use to attract the fallen conditioned souls who have forgotten Krishna and running behind Maya.
Because in past we had
Another example, Prabhupada also used to say that if you are running on 4 wheels, the cops will also be on 4 wheels to catch you. Similarly, devotees also use cars and technology and so much. So similarly, I felt that in the present times, music being such a powerful tool to attract the hearts of everyone can be very nicely used in Krishna's service if it is presented along with the deep philosophical essence of Krishna consciousness given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So before we really get into how to sing and what else is required to sing nicely, let us first spend a few minutes trying to understand why it is so important to sing properly and what happens if you sing nicely. As I already said, that for our personal purification, just the simple holy name, just one melody of Srila Prabhupada that changed the whole world is more than enough for our own personal purification. But you can learn music in a very systematic way to attract people in this world who are so much enamored with music and fine arts and cultural activities. So in my own personal experience, being a tutor in music for the last almost 10 years now, I've seen that music does help people from all walks, all ages. I have students ranging from the age of 5 to 75. And anyone and everyone, if given the right understanding and given the right training, can sing. And especially if they are first of all made to understand that you are singing for Krishna, then it becomes even more meaningful. So based on this premise, I would like to further expand and briefly explain to you the 5 fundamentals of Vedic music, which everyone who comes to me personally to learn something, I try to explain to them these 5 fundamental principles of Vedic music. And these 5 fundamental principles are based on purports by Srila Prabhupada, based on Krishna conscious philosophy. Point number 1 is, why is it necessary to learn music properly? We should first know, why am I endeavoring? Why I have to endeavor? Answer is simple, like for every other activity in Krishna consciousness, we do this for pleasing Krishna only. That's our only impetus. That's our only aspiration, that we want to please Krishna. And this is something which I want to highlight at the very beginning, because most people in this world, they see music as a very attractive art. And if you can somehow make big into music, then you can make big bucks, you can make, you can be famous, you can be a celebrity, and blah, blah, blah. Let's throw all that garbage first out. We don't want to learn music for materialistic aspirations. The main reason why we want to learn music properly is because we want to please Krishna. Just like any devotee who's cooking for Krishna would like to do the best, put the best ingredients arrange the best ingredients and arrange everything so nicely in the plate for Krishna. A pujari who is dressing Krishna would like to dress Krishna in the most elegant, in the most beautiful way. In the same way, let us also try to chant the holy name, which is nothing but decorating the holy name with our voices and with our emotions to the best of our capacity. And that is why a little bit of training in this wonderful art is necessary. Now, the second point is, how do we learn? Music is a vast field. As devotees in Krishna consciousness, it is also important to understand to what degree we want to get into this. So that's why here is something that I introduce to my students, that it is more than enough to learn, which will groom your voices enough so that you can sing nicely. You don't have to go into detailed technicalities of classical music and spend half of your life learning that. Because life is not meant to learn music, life is meant to please Krishna. And as Rupa Goswami also says in the Nectar of Instruction, that Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalsu Niyamagram, you don't have to over-endeavor for something in Krishna's service. That is also not advisable. So let us learn in a way which is conducive for our Krishna conscious Vaishnava lifestyles. That should be more than enough. So what I do in my classes is I train them to a degree in raga singing and certain voice modulation exercises, and that's all. The rest of the sessions are all focused mainly on learning the holy, learning the kirtans, learning different bhajans, and understanding the mood behind these bhajans, rather than just the external aspect of singing. And this brings me to the third point of our discussion, which is, what should be our mood? What is the use of vocal grooming? What is the use of understanding about music if you really don't understand the correct consciousness that you're supposed to sing? Since we have already established that we want to sing it for Krishna, so what is Krishna really looking for? You think there are no musicians, expert musicians sitting next to Krishna, that Krishna would be attracted with our voice modulation activities or techniques or talents? No. Krishna has the best musicians. He himself is the best musician. You can't really impress Krishna with your voice modulations, but you can definitely impress Krishna with a truthful, humble, loving heart. Now, that doesn't mean that you should not endeavor to sing beautifully. Both are very nice. If you have the ability to sing nicely, why not sing it the way Krishna wants to hear it? So the attitude is extremely important, the mood, the bhava. And the highest principle, the highest, I would say, the principle of the foundation of the highest attitude is Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishtina Amanina Manadena Kirtanina Sabharana. Unless we really are in that humble disposition of thinking ourselves lower than a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree, always eager to give respects to others and never be hankering for our own respect, we really, really cannot chant the holy names. So that's the foundation of kirtan. Every time a kirtaniya opens his mouth, his heart must be vibrating this verse. Without this, you cannot really chant. This is what Lord Chaitanya said, Kirtaniya Sada Hare, such a person can really chant. So this attitude of humility and submissiveness and surrender to the holy name is extremely important. And then the fourth and fifth point are sadhana, which is practice. If you really are committed to do something for Krishna, you have to do it in a very systematic way. You must do it regularly so that you can be perfect in it. And the last point is utsaha, enthusiasm. Prabhupada always emphasized on this principle of enthusiasm. If you are not enthusiastic, act enthusiastic for Krishna. And then you'll be really enthusiastic. So these 5 points are kind of very important for us to first meditate upon before we get into actual music, get into singing. When we keep meditating upon these 5 fundamental aspects of Vedic music, we will always try to remain in the correct mood, in the correct disposition, which will serve the purpose of music. Why was music created and how was music created? Music was created according to the Samaveda, it is all given in the Samaveda, that Krishna, when he wanted to give pleasure to the hearts of his devotees, he picked up his flute and he started playing beautiful music on the flute. One of Krishna's name, as we sing in the song, Yashomati Nandan Brajabaranagar Gokula Ranjan Kana. So Gokula Ranjana Kana. To devotees. So this word Ranjan has been given in the scriptures, from which comes the word Raga. The root word for Raga is Ranjan. And what is the meaning of Ranjan? As we just now saw, these beautiful ecstasies of Krishna's hearts, which pour out of his Venu in the form of transcendently beautiful, such sweet music, is the ragas. So all the music that exists in creation is nothing but music coming from these beautiful ragas given by Krishna. And the purpose is only one: to please Krishna and his devotees. There is no other purpose. Every other form of music is just a perverted reflection of the original, gift that Krishna has given. And everything that is perverted is going to pull you down and tie you down in this material world. So music, if expressed and learned in the correct understanding and offered to Krishna in the correct mood, is very, very rejuvenating, it's very purifying, it is very blissful. So with this much, I feel it should encourage everyone to take to this beautiful art of singing for Krishna. Now trust me, because Krishna created this art for all of us, every single one of us sitting here can admit this on my word, that you can sing. You just have to know how to do it in the proper way. We all can sing. It's not that only big kirtaniyas who sit in kirtan programs and who are very popular and all that. No, nothing like that. And in fact, if you try to sing, with this consciousness in your heart that Krishna is the one who's actually listening to me, you will never feel discouraged, because he is the sweetest Lord. he never ever sees that how you're singing and how's your voice going and where's your pitch going, what's your raga, you're going off the raga. He doesn't mind all that. All he sees is the truth of your heart. All he sees is the love of your heart. You know, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he used to especially want bad singers to sing the kirtan. That was one of his way of preaching. He would pick the worst singer in the ashram to sing the kirtan in a very important program. And devotees would wonder, why did he do that? And he would later on tell, when this person sings, you can actually know who really is here for the holy name and who is here only for the music. Because many people walk away and they will not like the way we sing. So that goes to see who is really having the taste for Harinam. Of course, that was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but doesn't mean that, you know, we can imitate him. But the point is that if we simply try to chant, definitely we can attract Krishna's heart. And the moment you attack Krishna's heart, everything else is going to be in its place. So let me just quickly give you a few tips for singing. One of my most important, I would say, findings in the course of training others is when you try to learn music along with an instrument like the harmonium, it becomes way more easier to learn. The harmonium is a very simple and very easy to learn instrument. And the best advantage is that when you attempt to learn, the harmonium can be your reference for the swaras, and it will make sure that you chant, you sing the swaras correctly. So now I'm going to just chant the 7 swaras, just to give you a demo, and I will try to speak a little bit on it. The 7 swaras, which are also called the Shabda Brahma, according to Srimad Bhagavatam. The reference of the 7 swaras have come the first canto, the third canto, and the 6th canto also. And Prabhupada, in his purpose, has explained that the 7 swaras are non-different from Omkar, Shabda Brahma, which means they are also Krishna. Now, these are the 7 swaras. Sa, re, ga, ma, ni, sa, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Now, as you saw, when I was playing and singing, I had a very, very clear, crisp reference for my swaras to just blend with the song. And the chances of making a mistake are very, very less. Next to impossible that you will make a mistake if you are concentrating on the sound and you're trying to vibrate. Now, a question may come that, hey, I may not be able to sing on this is too high for me, and that's why the scale change your harmoniums have come. You can shift a scale. There are 9 scales or 13 scales available on harmonium, and everyone can choose a scale which suits your voice. when these scale changer harmoniums had not come, when they were not so popular. Nowadays, everyone uses scale changer harmoniums. We had to manually change our, the sequence of the sarga. But now we have this facility. It's like, Nokia phones are gone. Now we have the smartphones. That's what the scale changer harmoniums can do. They're very easy to use. They produce beautiful, rich sound. And anyone can choose a particular scale and sing. So for example, now I was in scale 3. I can go 4 scales down. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa, sa, ni, da, pa, now that's way more easier to sing. For many times Matajis, they find singing on a C scale or C sharp scale quite high for their voice. You just change your scale and then you sing along. So the Swaras, the 7 Swaras are called the root, the seed Swara, the seed sound vibrations of music. And all this information that I'm sharing with you is coming from Samaved. There are some very interesting books. There's one book written by Narad Muni himself, who is a great avatar of Krishna, who is also a great musician. The book is called Sangeet Makarand. I have not been able to find an English version where there's some English translations available. I was only able to find a Sanskrit, version of that book, which was extremely difficult to decipher and understand what exactly. But from here and there, the knowledge has been extracted and given into different books. And what I shared with you about ragas coming from the word Ranjan, all that is from that book. Now, ragas, 15 minutes left, okay? I'll be done in 15 minutes. What are ragas? So, in essence, as I said, ragas are the ecstasies of Krishna's heart, which have taken form of very, very systematic sequences of the swaras. So, in simple words, let's take an example of a language. Music is also called a language that every jiva can understand, no matter which species you are in. Music is a language that is attractive to all the species. And I'm sure all of you have seen videos of people playing instruments for different animals, and that's quite popular. We have seen that. So it attracts everyone. It attracts all the jivas. So let's say if the swaras are like the alphabets, the ABC of music, and there are totally 12. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. These are called the 7 main swaras. And then there are the flat notes, which are re, ga, dha, and ni. Okay? So these 4 flat notes, 7 full notes, and 1 sharp note, which is the tivra ma, they form a saptak, a set of 7 swara. In English language, we'll say an octave. So on a keyboard, on a standard harmonium keyboard, we see there are 3 octaves, the lower octave, the middle octave, and the higher octave. And the octave is nothing but a set of 12 swaras. So a raga is actually a combination of minimum of 5 or more swaras. And in a rag, there will be 2 parts. One is the progression from the lower sa to the upper sa, and then coming backwards. Upper sa to the lower sa. So these are 2 parts of the raga, called Arohan and Avarohan. And the main element of a raga, it has to have minimum of 5 or more than 5 swaras. It can never be less than 5 swaras. And I'll just give you a demo of what ragas are. So a raga is going to be a combination of both the Shuddha or the full notes or the half notes. It can be from anywhere in the sadhu. All the 12 notes you can mix match and a ragas form. Very important point about ragas. The ragas have not been created by any one of us. Ragas have come from Krishna's own heart. Just like all the other ingredients in nature come from Krishna, the main ingredients of music have come from Krishna. So you may be the greatest composer in the world, but better be humble and accept that whatever you're composing, the main ingredients are coming from Krishna. Not so many music schools in India will admit this, that it is all coming from Krishna. But they just want to be very, secular, and they don't want to attach it to some religion or that. But the truth is, all the ragas have come from Krishna's heart. Krishna is the proprietor of everything, he says, and absolutely of the ragas also. So, this is how ragas can be sung. Now this is, I'll give you a few examples. Ragadan sa re ma pa ni ma pa sa da ni pa ma pa ga ma re sa. A𝖓𝖓𝖐𝖐 sa re ga ma pa ga ma da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa ni re sa. Bhagish ni sa ga ma da ni sa sa ni da ma pa da ga ma re sa ni sa ma pa ga ni da ni sa sa ni pa ma pa ga ma re sa. Okay. So these are different ragas only. We haven't sung any music, but there are music. There's so many kirtans, there's Hare Krishna melodies based on different ragas. For example, let me give you an example. a𝖓𝖓𝖐𝖐 sa re ga ma pa ga ma da ni sa. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Then Asavari is again another rag, beautiful rag. Sa re ma pa da sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Namami Sharam Satya Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule. So all these beautiful kirtans that we sing, they are based on these beautiful, lovely ragas. So when we have some basic understanding of what a raga is, how to sing the ragas, then when you sing kirtans, it definitely gives you a deeper connection with what you're doing. See, the whole purpose of making the students understand a little bit more detailed information about music is just to make that connection, Like Krishna says, every knowledge which is not connected with the Supreme, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate. Unless the knowledge is connected with the Supreme, it is still incomplete. So the whole idea of learning music should be so that we can develop a deeper connection and appreciate the beauty of Krishna in the form of sound vibrations. There is so much. One of the things that I like to highlight to my students, especially those who are my older kids, is that this is a very good retirement plan. Most of the devotees, when we become old and we are not so much physically active, we can't move around so much. This is some activity which can really keep your hearts attached to Krishna. Otherwise, in this material world, it is extremely difficult to keep our minds on Krishna. In an age where you can't read so much, and as soon as you hear philosophy, you hear classes, you start dozing off. This is an activity which will keep you awake and keep you connected and attached to Krishna. So if you start learning when you are young, I'm sure you will get to a certain point where you won't really have to spend hours and hours learning the art, but you can spend nice time singing for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, I think I'll stop here and take a few questions. If anyone has anything that you would like to ask me. I hope I was able to address to some extent the topic that I was given, but I couldn't think of anything else, so I just presented what came to my heart. Anyone has any questions, any corrections, please go ahead. No questions.
If anybody has any questions, please raise a hand.
It's okay if you don't have any questions.
I think what you've done has been so masterfully done. What can I say? You're going to say, yes, not me, it's Krishna. We fully understand. But wow, even I who's got no knowledge of music, I learned something today. I knew about the Saregama, but beyond that, I didn't know anything. So thank you so much.
But of course, it's a journey, Mataji. And when we walk this journey together, there's so many beautiful revelations and realizations that come along the way. We can't really discuss everything. It's a huge, beautiful journey back to Krishna. And the more you try to embark upon it and try to very systematically learn it, you will see that. You will get to understand.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, right? That when you're walking your journey, no matter what journey it is, there is always somebody beside you. There always, it's the mercy that just flows. I mean, it's the most masterful thing ever. It's just an abundance of mercy that just comes. No matter where you want to sing, you want to play mridanga, you want to do deity worship, you want to chant, you want to do whatever it is. You go astray and there's somebody there,
yes,
ready to bring you back. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has done for us. So yes, wonderful.
Realization.
I hand over to Vaishnav Priya Mataji. Go for it, Mata.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu, for such an enlivening talk on the correct mood to please Krishna and his devotees. I'm sure there's a lot we've learned from that, and there's a lot that we can take from this into future moods and singing of the Maha Mantra to please the Lord. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for your enlightening talk.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you His Holiness Bhaktivikash Swami. His Holiness Bhaktivikash Swami appeared in this world in 1957 in England. He joined the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in London in 1975 and was initiated in the same year with the name Ilapati Das by ISKCON's founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. From 1977 to 1979, His Holiness was based in India, mostly traveling in West Bengal, preaching Krishna consciousness and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. He then spent the following 10 years helping to pioneer ISKCON's preaching in Bangladesh, Burma, Thailand, and Malaysia. In 1989, he was granted the Order of Sannyas, receiving the name Bhaktivikash Swami, and again made his base in India. He has since traveled widely throughout the subcontinent, lecturing in English, Hindi, and Bengali. His Holiness also travels to and preaches Krishna consciousness in other parts of the world. He continues to write books and magazines and articles. His books have been translated into more than 15 languages. So please let us welcome His Holiness Bhakti Swami. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is Maharaj?
Yes, Sudhanshu.
Yes, Maharaj has joined, but he has his camera off for now.
So the camera is off.
It's on now. It's on.
Okay. Now, am I limited to 8:15 or can I go on beyond?
No,
that?
go ahead. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Manumapi Shattiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajamurupurim Maturim Goshtavartim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavas Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for inviting me to speak as part of the observances of the World Holy Name Week. Actually, we should have World Holy Name Year every year, World Holy Name Day every day. Every day should be a celebration. It is, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the holy name is celebrated all over the world every day. I guess it's something like Mother's Day. Mother's Day means every day we appreciate our mothers, I hope. But there's one day set aside particularly for remembering that. Or just like Srila Prabhupada's appearance and disappearance day, we offer our thanks and appreciation and respect and worship to Srila Prabhupada every day, but there are some days especially for remembering that. And especially today is very special in as much as it is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the instigator or the first in the worldwide movement, the forefather of the spreading of the holy name all over the world in the modern age, and who himself wrote so many kirtans, nam kirtans, and other kirtans. And of course, today is also the disappearance of Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Hare Krishna. So my subject, the main subject I'm going to speak on is how we in our movement need lots of lively kirtan. We think of devotee kirtan leaders. There are so many. Some of the most famous, I'm just going to say the names of some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples who are well known as kirtan leaders, some sannyasis, Lokanath Maharaj, Indrajamna Maharaj, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj, Mahavishnu Maharaj, Janananda Maharaj, Niranjan Maharaj. The list could go on. They've all been chanting Hare Krishna, leading ecstatic kirtans since before most of the initiated devotees nowadays were even born in their present body. They've been doing it for decades. And the Grihasta Kirtanias, some of them are not so well known because they don't get around as much as the sannyasis, but I'm just mentioning some of the names of the great kirtan leaders among Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Vishnu Gada, these are all from America, I'm saying. Lotananda, Baraharidas, Vyasaki Prabhu, actually he's from Canada, I think. Anyway, and I'm going to mention three names who you've probably never heard of, but they are Vakreshva Pandit, Bhumipati, and Shastiva. And these three, I'm going to mention one incident that I remember. It must be around late 1970s, after the Juhu temple was opened, which means after Srila Prabhupada had left this world. And one evening, these three devotees came in. They're American blacks. I don't know what the politically correct term is, but they led the evening. They led the evening kirtan, and it was a revolution the way they led. I can remember even the looks on their faces, and just what a kirtan! I mean, after so many years in this movement, I've been in so many ecstatic kirtan, you can't even remember them all, but this was really memorable. Vakreshva leading, and then Bhumipati, the way he was playing the mridanga, and Shastiva, there were two playing the mridanga, and with what we call in ISKCON wampas, jaja. Vakreshva was leading, and it was so lively. Everyone was just dancing and dancing and dancing. They went on and on and on, well past the arati time, and what a revolution in kirtan. So I'm just mentioning the names of some devotees who are famous, and of course there are so many who have come after Srila Prabhupada, so many great kirtan, and there are more also who are great kirtan leaders, Prabhupada disciples. Aïndra, of course. Yeah, but I'm thinking more of the lively kirtan right now. There are so many others, but what I'm making the point here is that kirtan, it's not just that a few should be great kirtan leaders and we're attracted to their kirtan, but kirtan is our life. Srila Prabhupada said that. This movement is the Hare Krishna movement, and it really came to the public attention, first of all, in the United States, and then in other parts of the Western world, by devotees going out daily chanting Hare Krishna. That's what the devotees would do. I joined in 1975, by which time the all day, every day, going out on Harinam Sankirtan, it had stopped by then because book distribution had started at Srila Prabhupada's behest. But as I heard, it used to be because our temple in central London, it's just off New Oxford Street. So they just go outside the temple, and then the morning they'd have the morning program, Mangalarti, everything, take morning breakfast, prasad, then everyone out, except a few pujaris and cooks, and then everyone out. And they'd go up one side of Oxford Street all the way up. This is one of the most famous streets in the world, full of people from all over the world. And we'd meet people all over the world who'd say, "Oh, I saw you chanting on Oxford Street." So the devotees would go all the way up to the end of Oxford Street, up to Marble Arch, if you know London at all, and then come back the other side, and that would take them up to lunchtime. Then they'd take lunch prasad, and the afternoon program was they'd go out again all the way up New Oxford Street, and come all the way back. And then they'd come back, take a shower, have the evening program, and that was the program, 6 days a week. And on the seventh day, they had the Sunday feast for inviting people to come. And that's how the movement became so famous, because it was something sensational. Nowadays, the world is so weird and wacko that you could stand on your head wearing a tiger skin and bounce up and down and with a snake wrapped around your neck and no one would even notice. It's so crazy. But in those days, in staid London, it was really, really quite a sensation. And people noticed. And it was even the tourism board of London, they showed the devotees chanting as one of the tourist attractions of London, along with Big Ben and whatever else is other tourist attractions there. So this movement started with lots of kirtan, morning, evening in the temple, all day out on the street. And then most devotees instead started to do book distribution. And nowadays, most devotees neither do book distribution nor Harinam. So World Holy Name Week, it shouldn't be just Holy Name Week, but every day is Holy Name Day. That means chanting on our beads. And also plenty of lively kirtan. That lively kirtan, whether it's outside on the streets, inside in the temples, that drives out Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is, as you know, it's all around us and it's inside us. The situation of the world is so bad, and if we do a heart assessment, we may find there are so many bad things in the heart, but the holy name, this absorption in kirtan, that just drives out all the dirty things in the heart. And that will drive out all the dirty things in our society also. There are so many discrepancies, this shouldn't be like that shouldn't be. All auspiciousness comes from chanting of the holy names. In our movement at the present time, we have lots of meetings, lots of bureaucracy, lots of theoretical academic study, lots of controversy, lots of innovative preaching. But what we need over and above everything, all right, let there be study and innovative preaching and this, that, and so many things. But what we need most of all, keep focused on the essence. We need lots of lively kirtan, the kind of kirtan that we can all very easily get absorbed in. There is stylish kirtan also, and that also has its place because some devotees are very musical and talented, and they can do very stylish kirtan and very intricate mridanga beads. But that's difficult for most people to do. But if we keep it very, very simple, then even newcomers can join in. So I'm proposing that the simple beats, simple tunes, so everyone can join in. And then for some specialist groups maybe there who sing with very long, drawn out, and this and that, and very complicated. But if it's very simple, and keep the instruments simple also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had mridanga, kartals, there's jaja, which we use as wampas, and some gong like this. Keep it simple, but give our heart full throat. Get really into it. And then, along with that, dancing in kirtan, and again dancing. There's no need of any fashionable styles. Keep it simple and just in response to the kirtan. When we forget that we're in a kirtan, and we forget that we're dancing, and we're just completely absorbed in the kirtan, that is the perfection of kirtan, that we just totally absorbed. And we can ask ourselves, well, when did we last dance? Well, probably the devotees who are listening to this talk are the great souls who are inclined and they like to chant. So maybe I'm speaking to the choir here, preaching to the choir. But there may be some devotees who didn't dance in days, weeks, months, maybe even years. But our movement is a dancing movement. Dance our way back to Godhead. I was so impressed when I first came to the temple in 1975, and by Krishna's arrangement, I had to stay overnight. It was Bhaktivedanta Manor in a village. I came by bicycle. There was a puncture. There was no repair, and it was snowing suddenly, and I was forced to stay overnight. And then early in the morning, freezing cold, because in those days they didn't have money for heating the building. Freezing cold, 4 o'clock in the morning, cold shower, and then 4:30, everyone's dancing for the pleasure of God, Krishna. And I thought, this is real religion. This is real worship of God, where every day people get up early in the morning to worship God by dancing blissfully. And I can still remember those early days, that look on Janananda, Brahmachari at the time, the look on his face of just complete ecstasy in kirtan. And he still has that look on his face in the kirtan. So yeah, lively kirtan. Not necessarily wild, although we do hear in the descriptions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan and dancing, it does sound pretty wild sometimes. But with spirit that comes not from musical ability or not from youthful passion, but that comes from a spirit of surrender to Krishna, that we feel so much gratefulness to Krishna for giving us this process, and we really want to give ourselves to Krishna. Kirtan, it doesn't begin in the throat or the tongue. Kirtan comes from the heart, not the mind also. Kirtan comes from the heart when we want to give ourselves to Krishna. And someone who's leading in that spirit, leading the kirtan in that spirit, they can inspire the others also to come together and chant in such a way that Krishna will be pleased, and then his mercy will pour down on us. So this chanting, not artificial. If you have energy, now my physical body is getting older. I don't have the same energy I have when you're young. Use that energy for chanting and dancing. Sometimes we see devotees, they go through the whole kirtan, they're just standing there like they're in a church or something. They're very formal. But kirtan, we're supposed to get enlivened and get into it. We can clap our hands, play the kartals, dance, respond to the chanting. Enthusiasm in devotional service, the first quality, utsaha, enthusiasm. So that enthusiasm in kirtan, that will drive, as I was saying, drive away Kali Yuga, drive away all ghosts, any in our hearts, mental platform. should I do that? Chant Hare Krishna. Any depression, bad feeling between devotees, that will all be driven out. Jiv Krishna Das, Abhishas, Koreleta, or Dukhanai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, when we know that I am an eternal jiva, part and parcel of Krishna, I'm his eternal servant. When we know this, when we understand this, when we believe this, there will be no unhappiness in our lives, nothing, no such thing. And then Radha, Krishna, bol, bolo, Reshrabai. So everyone chants the names of Radha and Krishna. Jai Shakal Bipod, Bhakti Vinod, Bolen Jokhanonam Gai. All dangers, difficulties, fears, delusions, everything is driven out. Any depression, bad feeling between the holy names, and the real, really chanting from the heart. And Sankirtan means we all come together and we infuse each other in chanting. It's Prabhupada's program. I am a chant Hare Krishna and no one has Prabhupada's order in our lives. Nothing. So we have to follow the order of the Guru. And then to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Radha, Krishna, bol, bolo, Reshrabai. So everyone chants the names of Radha and Krishna. Jai Shakal Bipod, Bhakti Vinod, Bolen Jokhanonam Gai. All dangers, difficulties, fears, delusions, everything is driven out when we chant the holy names and the really chanting from the heart. And Sankirtan means we all come together and we enthuse each other in chanting. It's Prabhupada's program. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. It's Prabhupada's order. So we have to follow the order of the Guru. He said to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So in this movement, we're not allowed to be unhappy because Prabhupada told us to be happy. So we should be happy by chanting Hare Krishna. More chanting. Let us have more chanting. In the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada writes, it is essential to associate with pure devotees who chant the holy names every morning and every evening. So that's something we can do. It's quite well established in our movement that we have a morning program, but there is the evening arati also. Yeah, if we're at home, we're maybe locked down, we can have morning, evening arati, especially those who are studying Bhakti Shastra. Otherwise, if we're just studying, like there's academic programs, if we're just studying and we don't do lots of kirtan, then it can become more like a mental exercise. We have to remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the chanting of the holy name Sankirtan, specifically Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names, he described as Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. It is the life and the wife of knowledge. So the chanting gives life to the study. We cannot properly understand what we're reading unless we apply that by chanting the holy names. It's not meant to be like some dry university course. This is the Sankirtan movement. So out in public, at home, out in public, it's not so easy maybe in the Corona period. In some places, chanting can go on. In public, in other places, it's very restricted. It may become more restricted where it's open now, so take advantage if you have it open. Kirtan mailers, now they're going on online also. But in the kirtan mailers, I can suggest it's mostly sitting down, but you can have more standing, chanting, dancing. It's get absorbed in chanting and dancing. That's the most we hear the description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtans. It's mostly standing and then dancing. Famous quote from Srila Prabhupada, this chanting should go on instead of meetings, resolutions, dissolutions, revolutions, and no solutions. There should be chanting. More and more chanting. We are meant for bliss. Shrinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putra. The Upanishads say that we are meant for bliss. We are meant for blissful life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give bliss. He's known as the most merciful avatar, but actually we should know him also as the most blissful avatar. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. We're also eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. He comes as the great ocean of eternity, bliss, and knowledge to wake us up to our position of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And he does that in all the avatars, but especially this avatar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, who has brought bliss as they have done. Now, of course, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are extremely blissful, but that's in Vrindavan, and it's all rights reserved. Not everyone can enter in there. Some demons tried to enter, but they got killed by Krishna. And even Vrindavan is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita as Durgam, very difficult to go to. It's not so easy to go to Vrindavan, to enter into the spiritual pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Very, very blissful, but it requires very high qualification to enter. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and he showers bliss on everyone without discrimination. And Nityananda Prabhu even more so. We say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful avatar, but practically Nityananda is demonstrating that mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even more. And Nityananda, his name means eternal bliss, and he's giving that bliss by engaging everyone in Sankirtan. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes to deliver the conditioned souls. He comes to give his mercy. He comes to make us blissful. And how does he do it? By Sankirtan. And it's a very simple process. Very, very simple. You don't have to be a great scholar. In fact, if someone thinks I'm a great scholar, that can be a hindrance to his becoming absorbed in the holy name. He's more interested in being absorbed in books. Now, there's scholarship is very important in Krishna consciousness, but even those who are scholars in Krishna consciousness, they must know that the full perfection of scholarship is to chant the holy names. Rig Veda to Yajurveda, Rig Veda to Yajurveda, Samaveda Piyatarvana, Atitas Tena Yenoktam Hare Krsna. Someone who says these two syllables, Ha-ri, it is understood. They've studied all the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. And then we say, well, what do you need to study for? And then you just chant. No, but study is also required. There are dozens of verses which we can quote to say that study is not required. You just need to chant the holy name. If you chant the holy name, everything is perfect and complete. But then we need study also to understand who we're chanting about, why we're chanting, how we have to chant without offenses, and what are the offenses. The offenses include philosophical misunderstandings, such as considering the holy name of Krishna and the name of Brahma and Shiva all to be on the same level. So we also have to have understanding. Namacharya Haridas Thakur chanting 300,000 names a day, but he also discoursed on the Nama Tattva, or the philosophical truths concerning the holy name. So study is required, but at the same time, we shouldn't be, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Tapan Mishra, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited East Bengal, and Tapan Mishra came and said, well, I'm studying so many books and I couldn't find out the truth about what's the actual goal of life and how to attain it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, by being a boy poker, which literally means a bookworm, we cannot understand the truth. And he advised him, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, A𝖓𝖓𝖐𝖆𝖗𝖏y kalo nastreva, nastreva, nastreva gatir anyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, no other way, no other way to attain the ultimate goal than to chant the names of Hari, chant the names of Hari, chant the names of Hari. And then, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while giving the designation Namacharya to Haridas Thakur, he himself is the Namacharya. Haridas Thakur is known as the Namacharya, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed how by chanting of the holy name that everyone can take part in it and come to the highest level. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also ordered his important disciples, Rupa and Sanatan, to write books describing all that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to say. He said, first of all, through Rupa and Sanatan, and then also through the others of the six Goswamis, and gradually through other acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti. He said all that he had to say through Srila Prabhupada. So scholarship is there, but we should know that scholarship on its own, it's incomplete without chanting the holy names. And even if one is not able to be a great scholar, he can chant the holy names and achieve full perfection of life. Regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan, the Bera Sankirtan pastimes are described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm just going to read an extract from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita from the Antya-lila, chapter 10. Before this, it's described how Govinda, the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, brought so much prasad for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to honor, which all the devotees had brought from Bengal. And then I'll continue. Ardin Mahaprabhu Nijagan Aloya Jagannatha Dekilen Shayothane Jaya. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went with his personal devotees to see Lord Jagannath when Lord Jagannath arose early in the morning. So this pastime begins early in the morning. Bera Sankirtan Taha Arambha Karila Shat Sampradai Tobe Gaite Lagila. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his all-encompassing Sankirtan. He formed 7 groups, which then began to chant. Shat Sampradaya Nritta Kare Shatjan Adaita Chaja A Prabhu Nityananda. In each of the 7 groups was a principal dancer, such as Advaita Acharya or Lord Nityananda, dancing. Bokresha Chutananda Pandit Srivas Satyaraja Khana Naraharidas. The dancers in the other groups were Vakreshwar Pandit, Achyutananda, Pandit Srivas, Satyaraj Khan, and Naraharidas. Shat Sampradaya Prabhu Karen Brahman, Mar Sampradaya Prabhu Oiche Shabarman. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked from one group to another inspecting them, the men in each group thought, the Lord is within our group. Shankitana kola hole akash bhedilo shab jaganatha bashi dekite ailo. The congregational chanting made a tumultuous roar that filled the sky. All the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri came to see the kirtan. So I've been talking about lively kirtan. We can see this is very much in the tradition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tumultuous kirtan. So that everyone living in Puri came to see what's going on. Raja Ashi Dure Deke, Raja Ashi Dure Deke, Nijagarna Loya, Raja Patni Shabdeke, Atali Charya. Accompanied by his personal staff, the king also came there and watched from a distance, and all the queens watched from the elevated parts of the palace. It's quite an event, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. And up to the present day, we see our devotees go out in the streets of the towns and villages throughout the world, and people come out and look and see what's going on. So that happened with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, in Puri, there are all kinds of religious functions regularly observed, but this was something special even for the people of Puri. I've seen in some holy places, they have public processions and religious observances going on, but people are so used to it, they don't even look at it. They'll just go about their daily business. So it's just such a normal thing for them. But this was so special that even everyone in Puri came to see this Sankirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kirtan atope prithivi kore thalamal, haridhani kore lok, hoilo kolahal. Due to the forceful vibration of Kirtan, the entire world began trembling. It was like an earthquake. When everyone chanted the holy name, they made a tumultuous sound. E matokoto kon, karaila kirtan, apane nachite tabe prabhur hoilo mon. In this way, the Lord had congregational chanting performed for some time, and then he himself desired to dance. So the real fun's about to begin. Already the kirtan's shaking the world, and the whole kirtan, the whole town of Puri, everyone has come to see, and now Lord Chaitanya himself is going to dance. Now he feels, now it's time for me to dance. Shatike Shat Sampradai Gai Bajai Madhe Mahaprema Beshe Nache Gaurarai. The 7 groups began chanting and beating their drums in 7 directions, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began dancing in the center in great ecstatic love. Uriya Pada Mahaprabhu Mone Sriti Hoilo Sharupere Shepad Gaite Agadilo. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remembered a line in the Orison language and ordered Swarupa Damodar to sing it. Jagamohan Parimunda Jao. Let my head fall at the feet of Jagannath in the Kirtan hall known as Jagamohan. Hey Pade Nritta Karen Parama Abeshe Shablok Chodike Prabhur Prema Jale Bhashe. Simply because of this line, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in greatly ecstatic love. People all around him floated in the water of his tears. That's described elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that in the Kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the water would come from his eyes like a syringe, and foam would flow from his mouth. And there's one devotee, Shubhananda, who collected that and drank that. So devotees, they were getting completely soaked in the tears of Mahaprabhu and floating in the prem of the ecstasy that just shook the whole world, the kirtan ecstasy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is anyway completely blissful, but then in the kirtan, he inundates the whole world with bliss, and he himself becomes, his bliss increases thousands and thousands of times. Bol bol bolen Prabhu, Shri Bahu Tuliya, Hari Dhane Korelok, Anande Bhashya. Raising his two arms, the Lord said, chant, chant, floating in transcendental bliss. The people responded by chanting the holy name of Hari. Prabhu Pari Murcha Jai, Shash Nahiya, Achambite Ute Prabhu Korea Hunka. The Lord fell to the ground unconscious, not even breathing. Then suddenly he stood up, making a loud sound. Shaghana Pulak Jena, Shimole Toru, Kobu Profilut, Kobe Profulito Onga, Kobu Hoi Sharu. The hairs on his body constantly stood up like the thorns on a shimula tree. Sometimes his body was swollen and sometimes lean and thin. Prati Roma Kupe Hoi, Proshade Roktodgam, Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu, God Goda Bachan. He bled and perspired from every pore of his body. His voice faltered, unable to say the line properly. He uttered only Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu, because he couldn't, in his ecstasy, he couldn't say the line properly. Ek dan jena pritak pritak nare, oiche nare, danta jena bhume kashi pare. All his teeth shook as if each was separate from the others. Indeed, they seemed about to fall to the ground. Kane kane bare prabhur ananda abesh, tritiya prahahoilo nritta nahe shesh. His transcendental bliss increased at every moment. Therefore, even by mid-afternoon, the dancing had not ended. Remember, he had gone there early in the morning and started the kirtan. And then the kirtan, he was just getting more and more and more ecstatic. And by mid-afternoon, he was still going on in bliss, 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 kirtan. Hours and hours and hours of extreme bliss and ecstasy, and soaking all the people of Puri in his tears. Shabloke utalilo ananda shagar, Shablo pasharilo deha ataghar. The ocean of transcendental bliss overflowed, and everyone present forgot his body, mind, and home. That is the perfection of kirtan, when we forget our body, mind, and home, and we're just absorbed. There's no body, there's no this, that, the other going on in the mind. Just there's the holy name, and we don't even know we exist. Just the holy names are there. That's all. And we just feel ourselves that serving the holy name by chanting the holy name. And then it's described how Nityananda Prabhu, he thought what to do. It's mid-afternoon, no one bathed since morning, no one ate anything. Everyone's completely exhausted. Tobe Nityananda Prabhu, Srijala Upai, Krome Krome Kirtaniya Rakilo Shabai. Then Nityananda Prabhu found a way to end the kirtan. He gradually stopped all the chanters. So everyone was chanting loud kirtan, and he just stopped. Okay, you stop, you stop, you stop. One by one, he stopped them. So the volume went down, 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 slowly. It's like nowadays we have high volume, and then we turn it down very slowly, fade it out like that. Swarupa Sange Matro Ek Sampradai, Swarupa Sange Sheha Manda Saragai. Thus only one group continued chanting with Swarup Damodar, and they chanted very softly. Kola hola nahi prabhur kichu bhaja hoilo, tabe nityananda shabashram janailo. When there was no longer tumultuous sound, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness. Then Nityananda Prabhu informed him of the fatigue of the chanters and dancers. So what's going on? There's tumultuous kirtan, everyone's singing loudly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely absorbed, and gradually the sound goes down and there's only one group left, and they're chanting. And all of a sudden, oh, what happened? What happened? No, not so loud anymore. And then he looked around, and Nityananda, then he told, you see, now it's mid-afternoon. We've been chanting for, what would that be? At least 10 hours non-stop. Every Bhakti Shramajani Koilo Kirtan Shamapan Shabalaya Ashi Koilo Shamudre Shnapan. Understanding the fatigue of the dancers, of the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped the congregational chanting. Then he bathed in the sea, accompanied by them all. So these are the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're inconceivably blissful. And he's given us a way to join in those pastimes. Even now, by his mercy, we can perform kirtan. And he will be very, very happy if we perform kirtan in all the towns and villages of the world, in our homes. Kirtan doesn't have to be with huge number of people, doesn't have to be in a temple. You can do in your home, just with your family members. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be very pleased. And if we do that throughout our life, then by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we're receiving through all the acharyas, through Srila Prabhupada, we can join that kirtan party of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At least we might have the good fortune to be born as a bird or a worm and see, and a bird we can see those pastimes and hear them. And a worm, we may be lucky, or later that the kirtan dancers will tread on us. Somehow we can join those kirtan pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we can do it right now with the lively kirtan, blissful kirtan will attract the people of the world. And then more people will come and join, and we can expand the kirtan more and more. Okay, I said I'd go over time, but I think I'll finish there on time. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the devotees all over the world who are chanting the names in bliss and ecstasy and spreading the holy names to all the unfortunate, the conditioned souls who have not yet heard the holy names. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for such an inspiring and enlivening talk on Kirtan. I now hand you over to my co-host, Krishangi Radhe.
You live, Krishangi Radhe.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna, Vaishnava Priya Mataji. Thank you for introducing me. My name is Krishangi Radhe Devi Dasi. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Ajamila Swami, residing in Durban, South Africa. And I'm so excited to be a part of the World Holy Name Festival online. Thank you to the organizers for putting this together and for all the behind the scenes that has been happening with our technical and our support. Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful talk that you've given now also. I'm pleased to introduce the kirtan that's going to actually be the last session for this afternoon, depending which part of the world you are. by His Grace Gauravani Prabhu. And many of you may know him, a multidisciplinary in terms of music worldwide, known for the different genres. He's fluent in music, film, and visual arts. And pre-pandemic, pre-COVID-19, Gauravani Prabhu had been traveling around the world to different parts, even here in Africa, to actually render kirtan, beautiful music rendition. Gauravani Das was born in Los Angeles in the US to parents who were Hare Krishna devotees, and had then gone to the Gurukul to study traditionally from a very tender age. There he learned the art of sacred music. And from then on, he learned how to play the traditional Indian instruments, and of course made kirtan very, very popular in a totally mantra meditation, different genre in the West. And he has become the defining force of the current explosion of mantra music in the Western world. So that's a beautiful new flavor of mantra meditation in the West. And a mantra meditation revolves around, the large gatherings of people to rhythmic music. And we were not able to do such gatherings during the past 18 months or so. So we're happy to be here online for the World Holy Name Festival and to actually be sharing in the association of Gauravani Das. He's also co-produced and sold out the Chant for Change Kirtan Festival in Washington, D.C., during President Obama's inauguration in 2009. And he is a founding member of Mantrology, the influential devotional music record label in New York City, and the 24-hour Kirtan Festival in West Virginia. So with all that under the belt, or with all that in terms of the spiritual mantra meditation and taking this beautiful vibe to the West and presenting it in a really dynamic way, I'm very, very happy and excited to introduce you all to the final session. And please don't leave, because we'd like to say thank you at the end. If you would like to have to participate or ask any questions, I'd invite you to actually put on your cameras, and you may be also able to send that through
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Amar Jivan. I am an impious sinner and have caused others great anxiety and trouble. I have never hesitated to perform any sinful act for my own enjoyment. Devoid of all compassion, concerned only with my own selfish interests, I am remorseful seeing others happy. I'm a perpetual liar, and the misery of others is a source of great pleasure for me. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us a glimpse into the nature of our own hearts, the nature of a materialistic heart. And he's seeing all this inside himself, even though he's a great devotee. Giving us a path to follow his example. Introspection of our own hearts. Amar Jivan Sada Papirata Nahi ko pulya relesha. Amar Jivan Sada Papirata Nahi ko pulya relesha. Parare udvega Diachi je koto Diachi jivera klesha. sukha lagi papi nahi dori doya hina swarta para sukhe duke sada mitya basi para duke sukha karo. Amara jivan sada papirata nahi ko punya. The material desires within the core of my heart are unlimited. I am wrathful, devoted to false pride and arrogance, intoxicated by vanity and bewildered by worldly affairs. Envy and egotism are the ornaments I wear. Ruined by laziness and sleep, I resist all pious deeds, yet I'm very active and enthusiastic to perform wicked tasks. For worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. Thus I'm destroyed by my own greed, and I'm always lustful. Ashashe kamana hridima jay mora krodhi damba parayana madamata sada vishaye mohita himsa garva vibhushana. Amara jivan sada papirata nahi ko punya nidralasya hata sukarye virata akarye udyogiyami pratishta lagya Satya charana lobha hata sadakami amara jivan sada papirata nahi ko punya. A vile and wicked man is this. Such as this, rejected by godly people, is a constant offender. I am such a person, devoid of all good works, forever inclined toward evil, worn out and wasted by various miseries. Now in my old age, deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, Bhaktivinoda submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord. When I hear these words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I know I'm only 44, but I'm feeling my age. My children, they're now teenagers. Their lives are becoming their own. And I'm thinking, what are all these things I've strived for? What have I accomplished? Time is just creeping in. And I can take solace of these words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and understand that still there's some hope for me. That by taking shelter of the Lord, He is protecting us even from ourselves. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur shows us the power of that humility in his beautiful prayer. Ehone dujana sajana vijita aparadi nirantara shubhakarya shunya sadanata mana nana dukhe jara. Bardakye kono upaya vihina tate dina kinchana bhakati vinoda prabhura charane kore dukha nivedana. Amara jivana sadapapirata nahiko punya relation. Jai Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. If only we can taste Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mood, always seeing the glory in others, always grateful to others, and seeing our own faults. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Amara Jivan Sada Papi Nahi Ko Punyarale. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. So we'll do one more Bhaktivinoda Thakur bhajan. This is one of my all-time favorite bhajans. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's such a masterful songwriter, a musician, and his ability to speak to my heart, even though he is from another time. I appreciate that so much. He's speaking words that speak to me, in this completely different age and different time. He doesn't know the challenges that I'm facing, so to speak, but these are universal things. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's giving us some direction and some hope and some guidance according to the devotional principles, showing us where to find the North Star. Manasa Deha Geho, mind, body, and family. Whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. In good fortune or in bad, in life or in death, all my difficulties have disappeared by choosing those feet of yours as my only shelter. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sacred Appearance Day, bless us all. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was always very truthful in his writing. You can see he spoke so, his lyrics were so raw in Amar Jivan. It's like what humility it takes to see those qualities in oneself. We're also good at seeing the faults in others. I heard a beautiful quote from a devotee named Sutapa Prabhu. Truth spoken without compassion is no longer the truth. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mercy and compassion still flow through, even though he speaks in these very straightforward ways. And that compassion, it really elevates anything he says to the level where it can transform the heart. Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore. Oh Manasa Deha Geho, Jo Kichumo Arpilu Tua Pade Nanda Kishore. Manasa Deha Geho Jo Kichumo Arpilu tua pade Nanda Kishore. Tua pade Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore. O Sampadevi Pade Jivane Marane Sampadevi Pade Jivane Marane Daimama Gilo Tua Opado Marani. Good fortune, bad, life, death, all my difficulties disappear by choosing those feet of yours as my only shelter. We sang another song, beautiful song last night, Ekono Bujino. I think that's the name of the song, what they call it. The whole song is talking about the lotus feet, taking shelter and holding those lotus feet, grabbing those lotus feet, seeing those lotus feet, meditating on those lotus feet. Maro bira kobi joi chato haro. Maro bira kobi joi chato haro. Nitya daso prati tua adhikara. Slay me or protect me as you wish, for you are the master of your eternal servant. If it is your wish that I be born again, then may it be in the home of your devotee. Janmao bimoecha jadito. Janmao bimoecha jadito. Bhakta grihe jani janma haumo. Bhakta grihe jani janma haumo. O manasa deha geha jo kichumo arpilu tua pade Nanda Kishore. Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore, Nanda Kishore. May I be born again, even as an insect, as a worm, so long as I remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born as a Brahma, averse to you. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing us our priorities. For me, most of the time, it's the opposite. Please, I want to be born, I want to be the greatest, I want to be Lord Brahma, and I don't care if I am becoming more Krishna conscious. Just please give me everything. Make me materially powerful and happy and successful. Without that appreciation for that, as long as I remain your devotee, even if I have to take birth as an insect. So many of us were born in the houses of devotees, but we don't develop the taste for our own Krishna consciousness, chasing down, doing the hard work of that excavation of the heart to really become devotees, not just outside, but devotees inside also. I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desires for worldly enjoyment or liberation. Oh, kita janma ho jata tua das, kita janma ho jata tua das, bahirmukha Brahma janme is Brahma if I'm averse to you. Oh, bhakti mukti spriha. Oh, vihina jai bhakta. Bhakti mukti spriha. Vihina jai bhakta. Labhaite tako sangha anurakta. How sweet is it, my friends, when we're in the company of a devotee who has this example, this mood, devoid of the concerns for the world. These concerns that animate so many of us. Worldly enjoyment, liberation, success, respect, all these things. But those devotees who simply want to serve the Lord, no desire for worldly enjoyment. Such a blessing to be in their company. Om Anasa Deha Geha Jogi Chumo Arpilu tua pade Nanda Kishore. Father, Son, Father, Mother, Lover, Son, Lord, Preceptor, and Husband. You are everything to me. Isn't that such a beautiful verse? This is one of my favorite verses of Bhaktivinoda Thakur of all times. O Janaka Janani Daita Tanai Prabhu Guru Patitu Sarvamai Bhakti Viloda Kohe Shuno Kana Bhakti Vinoda Kohe Shuno Kana Radha Nata Tu Hamara Parana Radha Nata Tu Hamara Parana. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, O Kana, O Krishna, O Lord, please hear me. O Lord of Radha, you are my life and soul. Bhakti Vinoda Kohe Shuno Kana Radhanata Tu Hamara Parana. Manasa Deha Geha Jogi Chumora Arpilu Tua Pade Nanda Kishore Nanda Kishore Nanda Kishore Nanda Kishore Nanda Kishore Nanda Kishore, 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 Nanda Kishore. Janaka Janani Daita Tanai Prabhu Guru Patitu Sarvama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Shri Harinam Sankirtana ki jai. Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtana ki jai. All glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. May Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu protect us, protect Prabhupada's movement of ISKCON, and remind us of how we must be humble, and remind us of how important it is that we need each other and we take care of each other and we work as one family. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for letting me join. My obeisances to all of you.